What's going on, guys? Your host here, June Archer, the Winner's Circle. Today's guest, legendary recording artist turned political powerhouse, 1/3 of the hip hop group Lords of the Underground. Please welcome my guest, do it all himself, Brother Kelly. Welcome to the show.
What up?
What's going on, bro?
It's my guy right here. Man, I'm good, man. Hustling like a 70s dance out here.
You already know what it is. Listen, for the people that don't know, Lords of the Underground, I just want to start off the interview by saying you guys went home to the essence where it all started, Newark, New Jersey,
Right.
to kick off the 25th anniversary of Lords of the Underground. How did that feel?
Oh man, it felt really good, man. You know, just by going back home. First of all, shout out to Lincoln Park. Coast Coastal District. Shout out to Kim Ford, my man Anthony Smith, everybody over there, Susu, everybody over there at Lincoln Park, for even just realizing that we needed to have a celebration for hip hop that comes out of Newark, New Jersey, and hip hop period. You know, Lords of the Underground, the golden era. It's just an unbelievable time, man, and to be considered, you know, legendary from coming out of that time and being in a group like Lords of the Underground, just learned so much. So celebrating that in Newark, New Jersey, man, was just a great feeling just to get to celebrate it in front of your hometown.
Now, who are some of the artists that helped with the hype of coming back home and doing that? I think Tretch.
Oh yeah, shout out to Trigger Tretch with your
Big bro.
stankin' nails. But we had Trigger Tretch, man. That's my bro. Shout out to Vinny, shout out to KG. We had Rod Digger come through. Shout out to the whole Outs. We had Dricky Graham, we had Kazi Pop, we had who else we had come through? We had a couple of people. We had Kango Kid from UTFO.
Shout out to Kango. A lot of people know Kango Kid is the reason why I was on my path to getting a recording deal.
See?
Just his tutelage and his wisdom and knowledge.
But let me give you a little just for the love for Kango. If you don't know who Kango Kid is, please go Google him, man, from the legendary group UTFO. But Kango Kid, Roxanne, and the show, Dougie Fresh, those are the first two hip-hop records I ever bought with my own money, man.
Wow.
First two hip-hop records. So every time I see Kango Kid, it's just like,
it's love.
Homage. I just pay him love, you know what I mean? And Doug and everybody from the Get Fresh crew, man. So shout out to y'all, because y'all was the first hip-hop music I ever purchased.
So, Newark, New Jersey, Lords of the Underground comes out. Now, around that time, there's a difference between the hip hop now and the hip hop then, but you guys stood out as a group and as a voice. Why do you think that was, based on coming out of Newark? Because there wasn't a lot of music coming out of Newark in terms of hip hop, right? How did you guys stand out in a world where today music sounds alike on a lot of different levels?
How do we stand out? I feel like in Newark, New Jersey, there was a lot of hip hop. It was just starting to get noticed to the masses. You know, you had Redman before Lords of the Underground, who I introduced to Eric Sermon. Red used to actually be my DJ before Lords came out. Then you had the Fugees came right out, like right before us, and that's Wyclef, Lauren, and Praz, you know, so they were from around the way. So Red and them, and then you had, before then you had Queen Latifah, you know,
Queen Latifah was
Flavor Unit with Mark the 45 King, who had moved to New Jersey, and he was putting everybody on, from Queen Latifah to Lakim Shabazz to Marky Fresh.
Wow.
You know, I took it back on that, might be too.
Yeah.
To, you know, just so many people, man. So you had a lot of people from Jersey, and I know I'm forgetting some people that came out before us, but it was a few acts, man, that really was representing for Newark, New Jersey, man. And how we stood out was we had to leave our home, go get it, and then bring it back to the home. So I think that method, by us going to get it, we met a fellow by the name of DJ Lord Jazz, who happened to be the the centerpiece for Laws of the Underground. He's the one who assembled Laws of the Underground by putting this MC from Newark, who with this other MC from Newark, but they didn't really know each other. Myself and do it all, and Mr. Funky Man. I knew Funky Man's brother, Burn B, but I didn't really know Funky Man. I knew him as Lil Turk, as Burn brother. And then once DJ Lord Jazz, who's from Cleveland, Ohio, put us together, I think the unique voice of Funky Man and lyrics with the aggressive energy and lyrics from myself put it together by a producer from Queensbridge, a legendary producer. Marley Marl was like Russell Simmons back then. So anything that he touched, he had a formula. And then by taking another producer from New Jersey to keep that New Jersey element and mix it into the pot, DJ K-Def, that's what, you know, all of those components together gave us our different sound. And in the 90s, it wasn't cool to sound like nobody else.
No, I think that's the most important piece. I'm trying to shine here. So for you now, 25 years in the game, the three of you guys are together and you guys are still touring. That's classic music that was created 20-something years ago that you guys are just blessed and fortunate to go around and still perform. You guys are doing well over in Europe. How has the experience been in Europe?
Well, it's 27 years as Laws of the Underground thus far. 25 years of the first album, Here Come the Lords. So January 12th of 2018, it will be 28 years in the group of Laws of the Underground. Man, that's crazy to be around somebody that long, you know, 28 years. And just to be still associated with hip hop in a good way, meaning that we're still working. Right. You know, in the acting world, they call it you're a working actor. Right. As long as you get a commercial or something, you know what I mean? But just to be associated with hip hop and still working in hip hop and still supporting ourselves through hip hop, it shows that we really live the culture. So when you hear our record and Funk says, I live for the funk, I die for the funk, you know, I eat, I sleep, I walk with the funk. That means that we live this culture. Everything that we do, we didn't lie. We said 28 years later, you see, we still live the culture. Wow. Politics, movies, clothing, fashion. Everything. Everything. We still live in the culture. We might not be mainstream anymore, but that's cool. We understand our place. We understand that the homies got to come up too. Right. You know, but we're not going to stop being hip hop because we're getting older. You know, we're just going to carry on who we are in hip hop and keep pushing our legacy forward. We're a touring act right now. I'm not trying to battle nobody for no radio slots. For what? Yeah. I want to hear Lucas Joyner and what's my other, Tory go at it. I want to hear it. I'm for it. I'm here for it. That's good for the culture too. You know what I mean? I want to hear the new dudes that I don't understand so I can say, what's that? So I can understand it because I remember taking my record Psycho to my uncle who put me on to hip hop. And I wanted him to love it, straight out of Marley Marl house. Like this is the 90s Marley, the end of the 80s Marley. Yes. So it's a straight joint from him. And I took it to the person who put me on the hip hop and he hit me with the, you know, it's cool. Wow. Crushed me. And Psycho went #1. Right. But I didn't understand it then, but now I understand it because he said, and I was like, yo, you don't like it? He's like, it's cool. I just can't relate. And that was my uncle back then. So it's come full circle now. It's full circle because now I'm the uncle. And I'm not stanky legging. I'm a grown man. I got mortgages to pay. You know what I mean? Like, but that's no disrespect to Soulja Boy. Right. Because it's a bunch of people who was stanky legging. Now it's some other stuff. So I'm not 18, 19. I'm not jumping around like that no more. But I was him, you know? So I can't be mad at them. Right. All I can do is direct them like, yeah, I did that. It's a pitfall, such and such. Right. You know, so be careful. I can't even tell you not to go that way, because if I tell you don't go that way, you won't still go that way. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Is there an appreciation for music, unlike the United States, over in Europe? Because to go out there, I always hear people say they appreciate hip hop. They love music in a different way. How has the reception been? You know, appreciation, man, I guess in some senses is relative, right? Like if you feel entitled for something, how do you appreciate something that you receive? If you feel blessed and favored to be able to have access to something, and how is that appreciation taken? You know, and I think Europe is so blessed for the internet and to have access, direct access to hip hop the same time as New York or America has it now. It cuts down the gap that used to be in between Europe and America.
Right.
Because now, Europe, when you drop something, Europe gets it the same time as America gets it.
At the push of a button.
At the push of a button. So the appreciation is, see, in Europe, they want, if they follow America culture, right? So if America says 90s golden era is the best era of hip hop ever, they go, word, well, who was in the 90s? And they research everybody in the 90s. If you say that's the culture that was the best. So now everybody in the 90s is popping. Because we, the people of hip hop, of the culture, say that's the best era. So now they say, all right, well then that's who we love. The people who created it, who the best. I want to know everything about them. And now you have 50 to 40-year-olds at concerts with their 15 to 20-year-olds, and they both jumping up and down to your joint. And they pass down music. So if June has a 20-year-old son, but you was listening to Run DMC or Wu-Tang or whoever it is, then you want to pass that, your children want to know what you were listening to. And they follow it. Here, your children don't want to listen to whatever the parents was listening to. That's old if you're listening to what your parents listen to. Over there, it's dope to carry on with the tradition of what your family was listening to. So that's why at our concerts, I don't care. Like, I'm not trying to compete with none of these young boys. Right. I have a fan base. Laws of Underground sold 4 million records in our time. So that means I'm a third of that. So I look at it as mathematics. If I'm a third, just number-wise, if I'm a third of 4 million, that's about 1,333. You know, 1.3333, right? So that means that, number-wise again, that 10% of that possibly would just mess with me.
Right.
10% of, you know what I mean? So that means about 133,000 people is possibly would just rock with Do It All. So then out of that, you figure like if I can just get 133,000 people to rock with me just with $1 to support, even if I just did a $1 show and all 133 people came, I made 6 figures. 133,000 is not a lot of money in the game of the industry of music business, but in the sense of you doing what you love, making 6 figures and still out there and still be relevant,
you're doing good.
Then you survive and doing what you love. And that's what we do. I'm a hip hop, and I will not stop being hip hop, whether it's politics or whatever it is. I don't care if I'm a plumber now. You'll be like, yo, that plumber be rocking some of the illest. I'm hip hop, man. You know, so being hip hop doesn't mean that you have to be mainstream. It just means that you have to live, walk, talk, eat the culture. And I still do that.
You made a step into the political arena. Why, as a hip hop artist, do you find it important to do so?
I think that it's important now because it's time. You know, the chickens have come home. The roosters come home, as they say. Meaning, what I mean by that is that hip hop is a $1 billion business, right? Business, America being a capitalist type of country, you know, we about that capital, we about that bread, we're about economics. So if hip hop is now the pop culture, in my 4 decades of living, the pop culture has always pushed society forward. Whatever that pop culture was in those decades has always driven society forward. And what I mean by that is the way you eat is that culture, the way you dress is that culture, the music you listen to, the way you're entertained, the way that you're advertised to and promoted, the consumer market, everything, economics, is that whatever that pop culture is. Hip hop, I mean, we can argue and say maybe the last 20, 25 years has been the pop culture. So if hip hop has been the pop culture, that means the way of life, period, internationally, worldwide, is driven by our culture. And if that is the case, why we don't have a seat at the table with everything? We can sell your chicken, we can sell your dish detergent, we can sell your appliance, your sneakers, your spirits, your fashion, but we can't sit about talk about the way our culture lives, our society lives. We can't sit about and talk about healthcare. We can't sit around and talk about that we being murdered, you know, in a just executed in a mass way. We'll blame it on hip hop, but we won't talk about the solutions of how we fix it through hip hop and with hip hop. So I just felt like that, not just for my city of Newark, New Jersey, I'm running for the culture of hip hop because it's time for the evolution of hip hop. It's time to show younger hip hop lovers and livers that you can still be hip hop and evolve. I am what hip hop, underground hip hop looks like grown up. Right here, I am that. So if I am that, then we gotta give, we don't know what a 6'9", hopefully he'll make it through this case, will become in 10 years, 15 years. Hell, we don't even know what Pac would have been. Pac may have been the governor of California or the mayor of Oakland. Who knows, you know what I mean? Biggie probably could have been, you know, a councilman in Brooklyn or something like that.
Right.
Who knows what it would have been, you know? So I'm just trying to show all of the culture that you don't have to stop being hip hop. Hip hop doesn't have an age limit to it. Stop putting an age limit to hip hop. Just grow within your culture, because if you grow within the culture, then you help the culture grow.
That's dope. So, politics aside, how important is it? We just went through the midterm elections,
Right.
and we got 2 years to figure this thing out.
Right.
For the hip hop heads that are fans of Laws of Underground, or just hip hop fans, period, of the culture, how important is it for those who did not vote, those who aren't registered to vote, that they have 2 years to really put their best foot forward for the next election? How important is it for you at the ground level, but also for the bigger picture in terms of the presidency?
Man, it's very important, right? To just answer your question, it's very important. But when you come from cities that look like ours, Newark, New Jersey, Brooklyn, Detroit, Chicago, DC, you know, the DMV area, Baltimore, when you come from these black and brown cities that look like ours.
But these are impoverished areas, though.
Right, but
Right,
they
so-
have voters, right? So we talking about voters.
Right.
They have voters, and the vote is where the power lies, in the people, in the culture, in the unity, in the coming together. That's where the vote matters. But when you're in these impoverished areas like that, we feel like it doesn't trickle down enough. That little Reaganomics theory of feed the rich and let it trickle down to the poor never worked out, right?
Right.
It just
That
never
system was
worked out.
broken.
That system was broken. So what we have to understand is that that system didn't work, but we can't give up because it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
We still have to realize that everything starts local. What's the saying go? Everything starts at home.
Right.
Right? So if we started at home, then we can spread it out everywhere. So if you vote locally, you vote for your state senators, you vote for your mayors, you vote for your people there, then the people that you put there when midterm elections come up, now those people, the people that you elected, the people that you put in office get to make the decisions as you vote again to put more people like them in office. So by the time it makes it federal level, like you say, you got 2 years for Trump, then the House and the Senate, all of those, you know, American voting system is so intricate that now you got the House of Representatives and you got the Senate House. Now those people, if you put the right people in locally, now won't allow the president to be able to make any moves. It happened to Obama.
Right.
He couldn't make any moves.
But now you're talking Chinese to people in the United States that don't follow government and politics.
So in
how
layman's
do
terms.
how do you make it attractive, though? Is my thing. How do you make it attractive to young people who they're always on social media, they got the new Jordans, they got the new iPhone, whatever number it is. How do you make it attractive for them to want to go out and vote and just register.
You talk about the things that concern them. If you're talking about 18 to 25, then you talk about those issues that concern an 18 to 25-year-old.
Okay.
You talk about college tuitions. Let's make it free. In a lot of places overseas, it's free, and they work way poorer than America.
But once again, we're talking about low income, impoverished areas that they feel like the only way out of the hood is ball, or I gotta do this Beyonce thing.
So look, we can't blame elected officials on everything, right?
Okay.
We can't blame the vote on everything. Definitely matters. But if you are part of poverty, if you are part of something when it's not rocking and it starts to rock, wouldn't you want to be a part of that?
Certainly.
When you want to be included, you have to want to be included. You have to want to be a part of the win. You can't just say, oh, I want to win, but they got to make it. They got to get the points for us. Anything that happens for anybody just doesn't come on wishing. You got to do the work for anything. So just because we elect you to any office, I can't just say, June got us. I got to say, June got us, and what you need for us to do, June. Because we got us.
Community effort.
It has to be.
The village concept.
It has to be. That's the only way it's going to work. But we've been, you know, it's been decades in history of us being taken out of our village. So we don't really understand the concept of a village, even though we preach it all the time.
Do it all. Shout out to Mr. Funky.
Mr.
Lord
Funk, Lord Jazz.
Lords of the Underground.
Word.
Dude, follow him, like him. Movie coming. If you're in Newark, support him. June Archer, the Winner Circle.
Hey man, Instagram, follow me, do it all, DOITALLDU. So do it all, do on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the same thing, man. Salute. I'm so happy for you too, man.
Man, listen, we doing it. What's next for our Lords?
Oh man, Lords, we go back on tour February. So we go right back on the road in February. Came home for the holidays, for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then the New Year, and then we right back on the road. But in between time, we're working on a movie. Shout out to everybody involved with the movie. It's a custody battle movie called Fighting to Be Dad. I know a lot of dads and females out there going through a lot of different custody battles. You know, the hood got a lot of different stories. It ain't just about drug dealing.
A lot of colorful stories.
And whipping out the, you know, getting the strap on them. You know what I mean? But we got a lot of different stories, so we're working on that. And, you know, we're doing a lot of things in Newark, New Jersey. Everybody that voted for me in my campaign for councilman at large in Newark, New Jersey, and for, as Frederick called me, the hip-hop Obama, I just want to say thank you for your votes. But your vote, even though we didn't get the seat, it wasn't a loss, because everybody that cast the vote for me, we still out there working every day. My nonprofit organization is called 211 Community Impact. We focus on literacy and just community engagement. So we're still out there working, man.